So students, these are the multiple choice questions for your external exams from the poem Shakespeare by Matthew Arnold. So first question, who is the author of the poem Shakespeare? It's as usual Matthew Arnold. The poem Shakespeare is an ode. What is the main theme of the poem? The main theme is praise of Shakespeare's genius. According to Arnold, Shakespeare's greatness lies in his insight into the human soul. So you have to revise the correct option of these questions. Which of the following qualities are attributed to Shakespeare in the poem? It is passion, knowledge and power. Matthew Arnold says, Shakespeare knew whatever was good for man. What does this suggest? It suggests that he was wise and insightful. So according to Matthew Arnold, Shakespeare did not need what? He did not need formal education. Arnold compares Shakespeare to a sun. In the poem, Arnold suggests that Shakespeare's genius is natural and divine. What is Shakespeare's relation to kings as described in the poem? He read them. Now about the literary devices and language of this poem. What literary device is used in Others Abide Our Question, Thou Art Free? It is an apostrophe. Thou art free means? It means that Shakespeare is not subject to analysis. The phrase serene creating power refers to Shakespeare's mind. Matthew Arnold uses the word abyss. What he symbolized by this word? It symbolizes, abyss means depths of human soul. Which of the following best describes Arnold's tone in the poem? The reverent tone. He laid us as we lay at birth. This implies what? It implies that Shakespeare recreated the human condition. What is the rhyme scheme of the poem? The rhyme scheme is irregular. It has no rhyme scheme. Draws us with a calm. What does this mean? It means that his influence is peaceful. Thou hadst one aim, one business, one desire. So what is that desire? It means that knowledge of the human soul. Thine ears, thou dumb, were keen to hear. What is the literary device here? It is an oxymoron. Now about the interpretation and analysis of this poem. Why does Arnold say Shakespeare is free? Because he is beyond criticism. So he is free. Arnold contrasts Shakespeare with other poets. Arnold uses the classical imagery, reflects his Victorian rationalism. Why does Arnold admire Shakespeare's insight into kings? It reveals his understanding of power. Thy soul was like a star. Suggests Shakespeare's soul was bright and elevated. Arnold compares Shakespeare's knowledge of men to reading a chart. What does Arnold mean by time has not tamed Shakespeare? Because he is eternal. Time has not tamed means Shakespeare is eternal. Arnold's portrayal of Shakespeare reflects his Victorian reverence for genius. We feel thy genius. What does this imply? It implies that his impact is emotional. What is the effect of Arnold's praise in this poem? It elevates him to divine status. Now about the contextual background information about the poem. Matthew Arnold belonged to which literary period? Obviously, Victorian. Arnold was known primarily as an poet and critic. The poem Shakespeare was written in which year? It was written in 1864. What is Arnold's view of poetry in general? It is the criticism of life. Arnold believed Shakespeare's understanding came from life and instinct. Arnold's idea of high seriousness in poetry applies to what? It applies to Shakespeare's work. Arnold was also an inspector of schools. What is the significance of the poem's structure? It is free-flowing and meditative. Arnold's admiration for Shakespeare is based on what? On moral and intellectual depth. Which statement best sums up the poem? The statement Shakespeare's soul and insight are unmatched. Now about the memory and mixed review of this poem. Arnold says Shakespeare could see with equal eye both kings and beggars. What does thine ears were keen to hear indicate? It indicates that he was attentive to human voices. The line draws us with a calm. It reflects the peaceful persuasion. Arnold's vision of Shakespeare suggests that he was guided by intuition. Arnold's admiration is conveyed through elevated diction. One aim, one business, one desire. It reflects Shakespeare's what? Single-minded pursuit of truth. Arnold's Shakespeare is portrayed as a seer and artist. Arnold uses classical references to suggest what? To suggest that Shakespeare belonged to all ages. Arnold's poem is an example of literary criticism in verse form. Now the last question. The poem ultimately positions Shakespeare as a divine and eternal figure. So prepare yourself for your exams and continue watching my videos. Thank you.